Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. I hope you're having an absolutely awesome week wherever you are in this planet of ours. Here we're in the midst of summer and it's hot and steamy and quite humid, so please excuse my hair flopping all over the place. It's very humid and it doesn't like to hold any sort of curl in this sort of weather. But anyway, enough of my hair. It's been a very, very interesting week around the globe. I mean, with lots of stuff happening politically, but I want to dive into, before we even do the card of the week, I want to dive into the fact that we've just experienced and still in the tail end of the new moon in Capricorn. So for those of you that are familiar with the show and watch us every week, you'll know that I quite often talk about the moon, but this one is particularly special because it's the first eclipse of the year as well. So anyway, let's move on to our regular start to the show, which is the Simply Tarot card of the week. And this week I'm really excited to say we have the Sun. Now, the Sun card is a very, very powerful card. It's one of the major arcana cards, but the Sun card actually represents the card of marriage. Now, when I talk about marriage, I'm talking about legalised church, down to the registry office, down to the wherever that means that you have that official piece of paper type of marriage, not where we might cohabitate with somebody in a married-like relationship. This is the card of marriage. The secondary meaning of this card is happiness and bright prospects. Now, I think that's a really great card to have at the beginning of a year, to have a lot of happy things happening in our lives and a lot of bright prospects. I know many of you are still struggling with, do I set New Year's resolutions? I've done it in the past. It's meant really nothing because I get halfway through the year and think, well, none of that's happened. I really didn't get up off the couch and start exercising or running or go on that new diet or make changes that I wanted to make in my life. So rather than a New Year's resolution, why don't we set some New Year's intentions? So this is the perfect time to be setting those. We talked about those last week on the show also when we were working with manifesting what we wanted for the year ahead. I think we can continue this on until well and truly into the end of January, where we can set our intentions for the 2019. And this week we can work with those intentions by looking at how we work with the tail end of this new moon in Capricorn eclipse, which eclipses to me always represent the fact that we have new beginnings or new opportunities or things starting to sort of change in our lives. It's the ending of one area and the beginning of another. So I want you to be very, very aware as we still work with this energy. Now, normal rule of thumb that we work with an energy, and the new moon eclipse was on the 6th of January. So wherever you are in the world, I want you to look back at when the 6th was, whether it was 24 or 48 hours ago, and work back from that. Now, we normally look at, in my estimation, 2 days before that. So we would have really started to feel the energy from the 4th of January. And we're going to work through until we go 4th, 5th and 6th, the 6th being the new moon, 3 days of the new moon. So that's 6, 7, 8. Then we look at 9, 10 as the decline of the new moon energy. Now, when we have an eclipse that works in conjunction with one of the moon cycles, I think we can safely add another 2 to 3 weeks on the end of this energy. So this new moon eclipse energy is really not going to finish until we head into the full moon in Leo later in the month. So I want you to be very aware of that. So we've got, plenty of time up our sleeve to really set our new moon intentions. And because it's the first new moon of the year, it's a time where, yes, we can release things or let go of things that maybe that we sort of thought, were leftover residue from last year, that we can sort of put at the top of the list and say, look, I'm ready to release, let go of this, 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 and this, and this. That was old energy, old stuff from 2018. But more importantly, I want to focus on the new things that I would like to bring into my life or adding to the building and the momentum of things that I started in 2018, and I just want to give them a little bit more of a shove in the right direction, bringing them more towards me. So it's a time of creating new things. So this is why I think it's a perfect time that we set our intentions in place for what we'd like in 2019. And for some of you, it may just be about looking after yourself more. The real energy that I'm starting to feel for the new year as such, the new, calendar year as such is that it's a year where we need to really look after ourselves. We need to take the time out to smell the roses, smell the coffee, slow down in some way, look at the things that are important to us in our life. Is it our close relationships? Is it our conversations with family and friends and things like that? And maybe it's asking us to put down our electronic devices just for a little bit and maybe pick up a telephone and have a conversation. You know, gee, wouldn't that be a strange thing? Instead of sending a text message or an email or something like that, let's maybe have some personal connection with people. For other people, it may be about making major changes in their life, like attracting a new job or maybe a new home, or mending fences with people that, you know, you think, look, this disagreement, this argument's gone on long enough. You know, we are family or we've been friends for 20 years. Let's not just allow this disagreement or, you know, misunderstanding between us to continue on because I'm not happy about it. It's really affecting me and I'm sure it's affecting them too. Let's find a truce and a solution to the situation. So that all comes under the heading of looking after yourself. I think it's a time that we need to bring more peace and joy into our lives, into us as personal individuals. Never mind the collective of the globe and everybody else around us. Let's start with us because everything starts at self. Once we've got the self right, or as best as we can get it, then we can start extending out and start offering help to other people. It's a bit like being on a plane where they talk about, you know, take the oxygen mask and put it on your face first before you start to try and help those around you. And I think they're very good words of advice that we can all take on board this year. So the new moon in Capricorn. So how do we work with the new moon energy? Okay, so we've written our list. We're going to write 2 identical lists. We're going to be releasing anything that needs to be released from last year or what is considered old, outworn energy or issues or situations or dreams and hopes. We're going to write the list, but we're going to more importantly write on our list what we want to bring towards us in 2019. So the new moon is a terrific place to start. If you have the new moon candle, I'm suggesting to you can keep working with this right up until we talk about the full moon later in the month. So the new moon candle, it's got 2 wicks. So I suggest you light one side one day, one side the next day. That way you'll get a longer burn time out of it. But it also gives you the ability to sort of maybe focus on, you know, if you want to burn 2 wicks, that's fine. It just makes the container a little bit hot. And I'm very concerned that, you know, sometimes the glass can get a little bit hot, particularly if you've got changes in temperature like we've got here at the moment, where the barometric pressure is going up and down with the humidity. So we light the candle, burning it for around 15 minutes to 2 hours per day. So adding to that, we need to be sort of looking at as well, because we're in the Capricorn or the earth sign energy, we need to be looking at burning our earth sign candle as well. So same principle applies, 2 wick system. So we're again writing an identical list. We're going to pop it underneath the candle. We're going to pop the candle on a coaster, never directly on the furniture. This way we stop the container from getting too hot. The soy wax itself doesn't get hot, but it's the glass container that gets hot. So we're going to be burning for our candle, as I said, 15 minutes to 2 hours a day to bring in our intent. For those of you that want a smaller set, I've made up one today with 2 earth sign candles and 1 new moon candle. These are perfect for taking to the office or confined sort of areas. Please be aware, never ever leave a candle unattended, underneath air conditioning, open windows, curtains, near children and pets. It's something that you really do need to be sitting with when you're burning a candle. It is a flame. It's not a fire going in a designated fireplace that's built to take that. This is a candle and it is an open flame. So we need to be aware of that. So for people that still want to work with the energy but don't want to work with a candle, can I suggest to you a melt warmer? You can pick these up at your variety store, local supermarket. Here in Australia, around about the $15 mark. These are an electric one, so you plug it into the electricity, flick on the switch on the side. So when you start off working with a melt warmer, I suggest 2 teaspoons out of your candle of wax and then add about half a teaspoon every day. And you can pop your list underneath the melt warmer as you do with a candle, popping that onto the furniture. You can safely leave this going all day. So, you know, when you go to bed of a night, just you flick the switch off, or you go to leave the office, same thing. So this is a safer alternative for those that don't want to work with the flame but still want to work with the energy. And, you know, melt warmers, you know, if you want to remove the wax and you're in a warmer climate, can I suggest you just take the little dish, pop it in the freezer for a couple of minutes, get a plastic knife or something underneath it and the wax will come off very, very easily. Then wash it up in hot soapy water, wait for it to cool down again, If you've washed it up in warm water, bring it back to room temperature before you add more wax and start the next process. So with the new moon in Capricorn, and because it is the Capricorn time of the year, we're dealing with official situations. So we're dealing with sort of setting our budgets, our boundaries, looking at anything official that we might need to sort out. Things, quite often we make major changes or bring about different things in our life at the beginning of a calendar year because we think, oh, well, this is the perfect time to revise this or look at that, make sure we've got the best deal with our utility company or our phone company or whatever the case may be. Sometimes people sort of revise their wills at this time of the year, look at whether there's been changes in the family. Do we need to add or subtract people in a situation like that? There's many reasons why we look at official things. So it can be a time of year where a lot of people feel a little bit lethargic because we've come out of the fire energy of the Sagittarian energy where everything's all go and everything's exciting and bubbling and positive and whatever. And then we hit about the 22nd of December heading towards Christmas and all of a sudden we feel this letdown of energy and we think we're tired because we've been racing around madly getting ready for Christmas. But it is actually partly that, but it's also partly the energy changing from fire to earth where it says we must slow down, we must take our time. It's time to sort of wind ourselves down a little bit and ease into the festive season and into the new year in a way that we can sort of catch our breath and we can enjoy it. So before we move on to taking our first caller up, we're back to sort of looking at our little mini astrology lesson. And this week I'm happy to talk about our male Cancer actor. And it's no other than Tom Cruise. Now, I'm sure there isn't a person on the planet, particularly you ladies out there, that don't know what who Tom Cruise is or how gorgeous he is, or many people think he's gorgeous. And he's had a very, very illustrious career, Tom Cruise, and I'm sure he's still got many more movies to make in him yet. He started his acting career when he was a very, very young boy, starting, to perform in plays and study drama when he was at school. He started his professional acting career at the age of 19 and he's been in many movies. He's had countless awards, Academy Awards. He's been in a lot of different types of movies. And I think that's a testament to his character, is with him being a Cancer and being an emotional sort of being, he's able to sort of really feel the character that he's playing. And it's as if he can go inside that character's mind and understand and own it and deliver that to the screen in a very convincing way that we get all caught up in the story that Tom's delivering to us in the character that he plays. And when I was doing my research and I looked at a lot of the movies that he'd been in, and a lot of them I had actually seen, and I thought, and each one of those has a different message to share each time that a movie came out that he was in. And, he's been in some sort of frivolous sort of films. I can remember one with Nicole Kidman with a racetrack, I think it was Thunderbirds or something like that I took my children to see many moons ago. And that was probably his most frivolous role I've ever seen him in. But he still played a great part in that. But most of his movies had a meaning, had a purpose, had a story to tell, and something that I think was probably important to him that touched his soul. And for many of you, I think you'll probably agree with me when I say probably one of the most moving roles he ever played, and he did such a great job, was in Rain Man. And it was one of those movies that it doesn't matter how many times that you see it with Dustin Hoffman, you could go back and watch it again and you'll pick up another layer to the story. So I think it's amazing that an actor such as Tom Cruise has really honoured his star sign, being a Cancer, felt his way through the emotions of the roles that he was offered, and obviously has picked the best roles that he thought he could do justice to. And he's brought us a plethora of work that I don't think will ever be forgotten, but I think he will certainly go down in history for some of the films that he's made, like Rain Man, that were very controversial at the time, but had such a very deep and meaningful message and really brought an awareness to the illness that young boy had, and that we all collectively as a globe became more compassionate and understanding of somebody that was less fortunate or had a different set of skills in their toolkit to what we had. So we're going to take our first caller, and it's Carla in Ipswich in Suffolk in England. Are you there, Carla?
Yes, hello. Hello.
Hello, Carla. Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
More than a question, I was just wondering if there were any messages, Anything in the cards
Carla,
that it would be like, okay?
Okay, look, on the show with us having such a very limited time, I don't try and connect through to the other side. I'm happy to answer a question for you, and if someone wants to come through from the other side with their input, that's perfectly fine. I'll bring through any message that they give, but we just can't sort of automatically tune into somebody. That takes a little bit more time than just a couple of seconds. So do you have a question that's pressing in your life at the moment you'd like me to help you with?
Yes, about my work career. I want to know what's happening with it.
Okay. The first thing that they're showing me around that is that I feel that there is some changes coming up there with that. Would it be fair to say since about September last year you started to feel an uncomfortable sort of energy surrounding the work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, because that's what they're showing me from. If I take it back to September, it was sort of like all of a sudden I started to feel uncomfortable. I started to question whether or not this was right. Was it just me? Is everybody else feeling it? I'm feeling uncomfortable. Now, that to me is the first indication that there's change definitely in the air. Look, I'm not saying that the company themselves aren't going through changes, and I think there will be physical changes and a shuffling of some of the staff and moving things around and giving people different duties. But I want to take this energy even further than that with you. I think it's showing you that maybe it's time to start looking at the bigger picture. Is this the job that I want in another 12 months, another 2 years, or is it time to start actively working towards making a change for me? And with that, I think is going to involve some further study. I don't think it's time to necessarily start looking for another job yet. But is there something that you need to sort of update a skill on or do some further study that's going to put you into a better position to start looking for another job? Is there something you've been thinking about learning?
Yes, actually I've been thinking about going back to school, yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to be looking at going back to school. Yeah, and doing that. Now, I'm not saying we need to necessarily wait until that's finished if that's a longer term situation than a few weeks. I think we need to sort of bed into that. The job itself that you're in is not going to become that uncomfortable that you won't be able to stand it yet. I think it's just that you're being shown that your own intuitive processes are starting to kick in, and you've been shown early in the stage of the process of change that things are changing, that you need to be prepared, you need to be aware of this. And this is why it started to make you feel uncomfortable from last September. So I'm looking at, let's get you back into some study. I think by June, I think you'll know then whether or not you need to stay in this job or whether you're ready to sort of start looking for another job that you can grow into. But I know that you're certainly on the right track. I have a lady here in spirit who I'm going to assume is a grandmother because I've got an older lady energy and all she's doing is smiling at me. She's not giving me anything else. So I'm taking from that you've got her seal of approval, or she's happy with what you're doing. You're listening to her direct messages to you and she just wants you to keep going. But she's also showing me a big love heart. So is there somebody new in your life, or have you just reignited the passion within the relationship?
I just got back with my husband. We were split up for a couple of years and we just got back together.
Okay, well, she's showing me a beautiful big pink heart there. So I think that's also her blessing.
Oh, thank you. Big smile on my face.
You're very welcome. Okay, sweetie, have a great new year. And we're going to go to Elish in Newry, Northern Ireland. Are you there, Elish?
I am indeed. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah.
How can I help you tonight, sweetie?
Just want to know what this year is going to bring me, sort of. Is there any changes on the horizon for me?
Okay. Is there any changes in your life? Yes, look, I think what they're showing me is lots of things bouncing around in your life at the moment. It's like I want to say to you, can you please stand still for a minute so we can start to put things into some sort of order for you to be able to tackle them. I think this is going to be a very dynamic year for you. I think lots of things are going to happen very, very quickly. You may not necessarily have time to sort of go away and think about decisions that need to be made. It might have to be, that feels right, let's do it, let's take the risk. And I think by doing that, I think if you listen very carefully to what your first response is, you won't make a mistake. It's not necessarily as everything that you're going to take on board going to be there forever. It might be some of these decisions are only short-term, quick. They're things that are only going to be in your life for a few months, and then we move on to the next sort of chapter. They're showing me 2 question marks, and they're showing it to me, one around work and one around where you're living. So are those the 2 major areas that you think need to be addressed first?
Yeah, I haven't been able to work I've been off work nearly 2 years now.
Right. But are you feeling that you're getting to the point now where you might be able to go back to work, even in a part-time capacity?
It'd probably be another 6 months or so, but yeah, I really would like to get back to work.
Yeah, they're showing me, I think it could be a little bit sooner than that, but it may just be something that you can manage to do from home while we're still, getting you back to being ready to go back out the door again to take a job as such. But I am actually seeing an opportunity there for you to be able to start to earn some extra income. But they were also showing me where you're living. Now, I wasn't necessarily picking up a move as such, but is there something changing around where you're living?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of redecorating at the moment.
Right, okay. Because it was showing me sort of the chaos around that, and it was sort of like, we've got to get that sort of sorted out too. But it's really interesting because I'm picking up this lady in spirit who I would have said would have been at your level. So somebody that, when they're showing me somebody at your level, it's either a sister, somebody you went to school with, somebody would have been at your age group if they were still here on earth. Is there somebody like that had a very vibrant, lively sense of humour, that played a few practical jokes that you can associate with, that could be coming through with a message? I didn't feel she was necessarily a relative.
Yeah,
I thought she was more like a friend.
I have a sister in spirit, yeah.
Do you? Was she like that? Was she?
Yeah, she was. She was very full of life. She died early, but she was full of life.
Well, she's around you all the time, but she sort of came through as not being like a sister. She was sort of more like your best friend.
No, not her. Although I've lost a few friends lately for cancer and that, so maybe it could be one of them.
It could be. I just know this person was larger than life. They always had a smile on their face. They were always positive, but there was a little bit of the cheekiness in them too, that, they wouldn't be backward and coming forward playing a practical joke or seeing the funnier side in something where someone else would be horrified, they'd be laughing.
Yeah, I know a few like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, whoever that person is, whoever they were to you, they are around you and they're sort of saying, well, I'm going to put some fun back in your life that kills me. And I find that sort of a funny statement to make, considering they're no longer here with us. Do you know what I mean? But it's their mission to put a smile back on your face and make you see the funnier side of life again, which is a good thing. They sort of feel you've become too stale, shall we say. You've become too serious.
Yeah, it has been, yeah.
Well, they're not going to allow that.
On the mantelpiece the other day, so I wondered who did that.
Well, they're not going to allow you to They're not going to allow you to become this serious. This year, their mission is to put a smile on your face and make you alive again, make you funny. You weren't known for having the greatest sense of humour, are you? You sort of sit there and it's sort of like it's really got to be funny before you laugh.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes
yeah, that's what they were showing me, that we're going to give you a sense of humour this year. I don't know how they're going to manage to do that, but that's their aim, is to give you a sense of humour. But there's this particular lady, but I've also got two others with her. So I don't know whether that was your sister and someone else, or it's like there's three of them ganging up on you. But she's the ringleader, this one, that it was full of mischief.
Happy days.
Well, anyway, they're all around you and they're making sure your life's going to be full of mischief and laugh and fun and frivolity. And I think before too long, I think your whole life's going to turn around for you, sweetie. So I don't think you've got too much to worry about. I think you just need to keep going forward and knowing that each day that passes that you are getting closer to achieving all your dreams again, that your body's starting to cooperate the way that you would like it to.
Happy days. Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. So that brings us to, we've got a couple of minutes left on the show before we go. And 2019 is going to be a year, I think, where we all need to really be sort of listening to the messages that are being given to us. It's one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, how do I know that my loved ones are around me, Amanda? You know, I'm not sure that they are. They haven't come through and shown themselves to me. Look, darling, they don't come through and sort of stand there and say, I've arrived, put the kettle on. They show us many different signs. For some people, it's feathers. Some people, it's music. Some people, it's a couple of words on a television show. You know, there's all different ways that signs and symbols can come through from our loved ones. And if they had a sense of humour here on earth, they certainly don't lose it on the other side, let me assure you. And if, you know, you've got someone that's passed over that was a practical joker, well, then they're going to think it's hilarious to turn the television on at 2 o'clock in the morning and wake you up because they know it annoys you. So any of those random sort of things that happen, try and acknowledge and work out who it is you think the message is coming from and say hello to them, because quite often all they're doing is looking for a little bit of attention. They don't even sometimes have a message to give us. They just want to be heard and recognised. And I think that's the most important thing. If we can acknowledge that we know that they're still there, they're usually quite happy. And, you know, the role of a medium is not necessarily to be able to give you answers to situations from the other side. It's to let you know that your loved ones are still there and still watching over you. We still have to honour them by living each day to the fullest, to the best of our ability here on earth. It's not up to us as trying to connect with mediums to get through to the other side to sort of sort out family problems. I mean, they're sorted once somebody passes over. You know, they're really not important to them anymore. Their importance is making a connection with you and letting you know that they're A-OK. So on next week's show, we'll have our Simply Tarot card of the week. We'll have another glimpse around the universe. We'll have our famous Cancer female actress next week. So until next week, I hope that you have an absolutely awesome week. And if you want to continue on and learn a little bit more about the new moon in Capricorn, join me on Facebook Live over on the Amanda Hall page directly behind this show. So have a great week wherever you are in this world of ours and keep smiling. Bye for now.